Ladies and gentlemen, from Radio Pakistan Islamabad, Planet FM 87.6, your favorite program, LitArt. I'm your host, Munir Fayyaz. Welcome back again. After a long break, we are again on air from Islamabad studios with another very special episode of LitArt. We try to discuss literature, poetry, art, theatre, cinema, movies, everything. Painting that is a part of literature and a part of art. Today we have invited in our studios a very special guest with a very special work indeed. In the global world, in the world of today, we talk very much about globalization, and on the other hand, we talk about promoting local literature, promoting our regional cultures, and our local languages hold a very great amount of literature, poetics, tradition, and whatnot, often ignored by mainstream. These languages are very rich in their poetic traditions, in their idiom, in their portraying of lifestyle of Pakistani tradition and society. Pashto is another ignored language of our nation. And again, this holds a very great treasure of love poetry, war poetry, mystic poetry. Khush'hal Khattak's name needs no introduction. Everyone in the world knows Khush'hal Khattak as a great and prolific poet. He was a man of many arts, a man of many dimensions, a great leader on the war front, on political front. He united the Pashtun nation, and on poetic front, he produced such prolific, exuberant poetry. And this creates a great paradox in the history of Khush'hal Khattak, in the personality of Khush'hal Khattak. On one side, he spent more than half his life on horseback, and on the other side, he composed such exuberant poetry of love and mysticism and divinity and compassion. So, for discussing this, Khush'hal Khattak's translations are already available worldwide, but today we have with our in our studios a very wonderful person, a very great man, Mr. Sami Rahman, who has translated Khush'hal Khattak's quatrains, Rubaiyat, into English. He has selected and translated Khush'hal Khan's Rubaiyat into English in today's idiom, for discussing the legacy, the poetic legacy of Khush'hal Khan, and for talking about this work in translation. We welcome Mr. Sami Rahman in today's program. Mr. Sami Rahman, sir, thank you very much for coming to us.
Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Most of us have heard names of Khush'hal Khattak.
Yeah.
And Khush'hal Khattak, not only of Pashto but of Pakistan and of the world as well, is a very prominent figure of 19th century, 19th century literature.
Yeah. 17th century.
17th, 18th century literature.
Yeah.
What's so special in Khush'hal Khattak? And you translated quatrains. We'll talk about so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Khush'hal Khattak's personality, his history, his era.
Well, Khush'hal Khattak, as you very rightly said, he needs no introduction. I mean, he's famous the world over for his very exuberant and rich poetry. He was not only a poet, but also he was a man of many trades. I mean, you could say that he was not a court poet in the first place. He was a free spirit right from the outset, and he remained a free spirit throughout his life. He was born in 1613 in a small village, Khattak, which was founded by his great-grandfather, Malik Akor. When he was 29, his father died, and he was appointed as chieftain of his tribe, the Khattaks, by King Shah. So, his first appointment by King Shah Jahan was, in fact, a military campaign in Kangra, India, the Indian state. So he was a military commander, he was a tribal chieftain, he was a poet, he was a falconer, he was a physician. In short, he was a polymath. I mean, he was a man of many trades, and he was the jack of all trades, was also like
Master of none.
yeah, the master. So,
We say
yeah,
he's jack of all trades, was master of none.
yeah.
He was not jack of all trades. He was master
He
of
was a
all
master.
trades.
So that's one thing about Khush'hal Khan Khattak, and that's where his greatness lies. In fact, as far as his poetry is concerned, it's also like his personality is also quite multidimensional. I mean, you would find uh, politics, economics, geography, falconry, his works on tape, the medicine. So,
Divinity,
I mean, his mysticism.
divinity and mysticism.
I mean, there's the
Traditional values, cultural
traditional values, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, mysticism. I mean, you just name it, and he has it. So, as far as his quatrains are concerned, I mean, there's only one portion of his poetry, and he has tried his hand in almost all genres of the poetical art, the musaddas, the muhammas, the rubai, the odes, zulkafatain, I mean, even keta, Masnavi. So, when it comes to poetry, he's considered as the father of Pashto
Pashto poetry.
language as well as Pashto poetry.
But
And there are reasons for that.
how were these forms of Pashto poetry? You named these forms, Musaddas and
Yeah.
Salam and everything. These
Yeah.
are the same forms that we find in conventional traditional Urdu poetry.
Yeah.
Did Pashto have some
Mhm.
unique forms, genres of poetry as well?
Uh,
Like, we say tapa and dode and
In fact, Tapa falls into the category of folk. Genre. So he did, but I mean, I haven't come across tapas because you might know that it's usually a genre of Pashto poetry that's attributed to the fair sex. I mean, 90 or 95% of tapas are, in fact, the verbal expression of the females, the Pashtun females. And it's only a couplet. Like the first couplet is 8 syllable, the other is 12. So,
Okay.
yeah. But apart from, aside from tapa, all the classical genres of the Persian tradition, if you, I mean, that's where the greatness of Khush'hal
so
lies.
this Pashto and Persian had some connection in poetic
You
connection
could say that. I mean, he has his inspiration mainly from Persian language,
Right.
and quite a lot of Persian words, Persian tarkibat,
and
as we call it. Yeah, so there are quite a lot in Pashto.
How was
Yeah.
One very important question for audience, because you said Khush'hal Khan Khattak was pioneer father of
Yeah.
Pashto
Pashto poetry, yeah.
How was Pashto poetry before Khush'hal Khan?
It was in quite a preliminary stage before Khush'hal. There have been poets before Khush'hal, like Mirza Ansari, Daulat, and there were names like they were not so famous as such, but there have been poets like Ansari, Daulat, and Arzani, who were, who were Sahib Diwan. They had their Diwans composed, but most of them were just like odes and quatrains.
Okay.
So what Khush'hal did was to enlarge the campus of the whole tradition, and that's why he's considered as the father of Pashto language, because he just contributed quite a lot in every discipline, in every genre, in every field. So that's why.
So he injected new themes into poetry.
Yeah,
and new
he
language
did.
as
He
well.
did. He
Modernized
did.
language as
He
well.
might. He in fact he's even credited with the invention of a special kind of writing which called Zanjiri, and he's considered as the inventor of that special kind of script, Pashto script, which is called Zanjiri as well. So
you translated quatrains of Khush'hal Khan Khattak.
Yeah.
And that was a very demanding task. Translating something from Pashto into Urdu would be very, easy on a level, but translating it into a language which is altogether of another culture. How did this come into your mind, and how did you discuss with us the process of translating Khush'hal Khan Khattak? How did you find, because when you are reading something, this gives another flavor, another understanding. But when you take up to pen and paper and you try to translate that into another language, the text deals with you with an other approach in another side that dawns new meanings onto you. That would have defined your new relation with Khush'hal Khan Khattak as well. As a reader, you are connected to a poet on a different level, but as a translator, you start personalizing it. You make a direct connection. How was that experience?
In fact, poetry, translation itself is an art. If you translate from Pashto into Urdu, or if you translate from Persian into Urdu, so they're the same family. I mean, the Indo-Aryan language of families, as they call it. But if you translate something like from an Eastern language to a Western one, like in the case of the Rubaiyat, which is into English, it's a bit of a challenge, because the whole diction, the whole family of language, I mean,
that is changed.
It differs quite a lot on every level, on the rhymes, on the diction, on the style, even the what we call the meters. I mean, you cannot, remain to the same awzans or the bahar of the original, so you would have to.
And it sometimes becomes very difficult even to carry the rhyme as well.
It is. You cannot find. If you translate from Pashto into Urdu, it's quite easy. From 95% of the rhymes you get from the original language. But in English, it's altogether a different.
And poetry only depends on rhyme. So how did it come into your mind to translate Khush'hal Baba in English? We had translations of Khush'hal Khan's poetry in English. I have read certain translations on the internet.
In fact, the very first translation of Khush'hal, it was back in the 19th century. It was Major Ravity, selection from the poetry of the Afghan. And it was through that very translation that Iqbal came to know about Khush'hal Khan Khattak, and he wrote the essay which title reads like the Khush'hal Khan Khattak, the warrior poet of Afghanistan.
Then he composed that Urdu poem as well, where he said, "Uda kar na laaye jahan baade ko Mughal shahshaharon ki garde saban."
Khush'hal Khan ki wasiyat.
Khush'hal Khan ki
yes, was quite famous, and even the Mehrab Gul
Khan ke
Afghan ke Afkar. It was also inspired by the poetry of Khush'hal Khan Khattak. So Major Ravity, it was the first Englishman who translated his work from Pashto into English. After that, it was Bedalf, Mackenzie, Diane Mackenzie. He has translated quite a lot of odes of Khush'hal Khan Khattak. Then there were the 20th century Sarof Keroe. He also translated some of his poems. As far as his quatrains are concerned, it was a bit of an overlooked and ignored area. So it just crossed my mind, why not try my hand in the...
Wonderful.
And personally, I just love quatrains. They're just 4 lines. They're quite... most of the Western criticism of our Eastern poetry is that it's not coherent, it's not on one theme, and it's because if you read our odes, either whether they are in Urdu or in Persian or in Pashto, so every couplet of an ode, it would be an altogether a different topic,
The
a
same
different,
we use in ghazal.
yeah. But in English, since they are not used to this kind of thinking or this form of poetry, so they would their main criticism would lie that, well, the Eastern poetry, it's not coherent, it's not it doesn't stick to one subject, it changes from one thing to another. But when it comes to the quatrains, yeah, so one quatrains is one topic,
One idea.
and yeah, one idea, and it's quite
complete-
succinct, it's short, so that's where it hits you, and that's one reason why the quatrains are the rubaiyat of Umar Khayyam. They were just quite
received by the
well
West.
received by the West in the 19th
Translated by
century.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Fitzgerald. So yeah,
And West
that's
still believes takes Umar Khayyam as a great poet.
yeah.
It was after its translation of it. There, by this instance, we know that translation is so vital.
Yeah.
A poet, a genius of history like Khayyam, lay hidden in the dust of times.
Yeah.
Until Scott's Fitzgerald translated that into English, some of his rubais.
Yes.
One another question that arises in my mind from the same instance of Khayyam's translations.
Yeah.
Scott's Fitzgerald made many amends in the original text of Khayyam. Today, when we study original rubaiyats of Khayyam, and then we see Fitzgerald's translation of those rubaiyats, we find displacement of meaning, and that displacement of meaning is primarily due to the displacement of linguistic culture as well, because there's so many things in tradition of Persian poetry, Pashto poetry, that don't have semantic equivalents, meaningful equivalents in English.
Yeah.
Did you have this experience while working with Khush'hal Khan's quatrains?
Yeah, I mean, it brings us back to this same question as to why translation is necessary, and what are the challenges that a translator faces when rendering one language into another. So the biggest criticism on Fitzgerald, quite rightly, you pointed out that if you compare it with the original, you wouldn't find some of the quatrains that that been translated by Fitzgerald. They're not in the
There is a great displacement in meaning.
yeah. So one reason for that, as far as I mean, if I would say that Fitzgerald, he himself was a great poet in his own right. What he did was to read the quatrains of Umar Khayyam, right? And it may be kept in mind that he didn't know the original language Persian, so apparently he used some other text, other translation. So what he did, he just went through the whole text. He just grabbed the idea. He just translated the spirit of the Khayyam's poetry. So it was not a literal translation. It was something like he conveyed the spirit of Umar Khayyam's
How have
poetry.
you approached
Well,
Khush'hal
my
Khan?
approach is something I would say different from Fitzgerald. I would stick to the original.
You were loyal to the poet.
Yeah, I would remain loyal to the poet, to the text, the original text, and at the same time, I would try to convey the whole idea into the modern English diction, you could say that.
So this work of you contains, I have read it, you gifted it me, and I have read it, some of it.
Oh, yeah.
This contains today's expression. One very applaudable thing, very plausible thing is that the translation is in today's language.
Yeah.
Whereas the translations you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, they were
classical.
in the Victorian language. Old English.
Before we proceed with this discussion,
Sure.
I'll request you to read some of his quatrains
Yeah.
for our audience.
With all my-
so they might
With all my
know
heart, yeah, thank you very much. Sure,
and
Ahmed.
do educate us about them as well when you read some quatrain. One more request: you read very fast. I
Mm-hmm.
request to read it slowly, as
Okay.
we want to go deep in Khush'hal Baba's poetry, his poetic
Okay.
world.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah. And you'd like me to also narrate the original
Original
position?
and the
Okay.
translation as well.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Whatever makes you, at home and comfortable.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so in fact, I'm in the process of revising some of the quatrains as well these days. It was back in 2015 that I first translated his quatrains, and the book was in fact published in 2015.
Okay.
So, but one drawback of that edition was that I didn't. Ca- uh, I didn't mention the original text
Okay.
in that edition. So what I'm doing these days is also to give the original language or the original text as well in
Okay.
the second edition. So his very first quatrain in the original, even in the Alif Radif, is we call it in the Eastern tradition, is Yawm Khawre Zeba Surat ka, Zrei Kasura the Marifat ka, Goya Jaba Pakhpal Sifat ka, Biay Lakhauru Saralat Patka. And translates into something like this: you turn a handful of dust into a handsome face.
Wow.
You turn his heart into the divine knowledge case. You turn his tongue to glorify your grace. The dust form at length you make him embrace.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah,
And
thank
what
you.
is this about? I'd request if you tell us in one line what is the Rubai quatrain about, and then you read it.
It's about the supreme stature of
The creator.
the creator
How
and
he
his
makes
creation,
faces with
the
clay.
humans. Yes. So
You can read it from here. That's no problem. We can place it back there.
yeah,
If you
sure.
want to read it, you can read it from here,
Sure, sure.
because this is what you might recall where your favorite ones are. And you again, we will
Okay.
talk about Bazname as well. You said that this is the only epic in the
Okay.
world that contains. I remember you saying this is the only epic Bazname that contains all the species of falcon in it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, if I might digress a little bit from the quatrain area, and there's a piece by Khush'hal in which, in fact, he completely describes his own style of poetry, so that might interest some of your audience, I would
Please.
suggest. I haven't written a single panegyric my whole life, as there was not a single soul who deserved it. I've fleeced many a man in satire, since there were many who behooved
Wow.
it.
And
As for
that's very
those,
logical.
as for those whom I admired in beauty, I have made my black hair grey, glorifying
Wow,
them.
wow, wonderful. Wow. Only a poet could present such a logic. No working man can reach here.
Yeah, and one thing that you just pointed out about Khush'hal, that he also wrote something about mysticism. So he did, in fact. And here's one piece that I would like to recite: Maulana Abdul Hakim, a master in matters mundane and supreme, treated a group of Hindu yogis with much respect and esteem. Someone raised an eyebrow, to which he came up with the maxim: treat everyone with honor and respect, for that's the right scheme of things.
Exactly. This is humanism.
So yeah,
This is humanism.
And,
This is divinity, and this is humanism.
this is divinity. This is also his large-heartedness, his what you say, his overall approach toward other religions.
आदम
as
की किसी
well.
रूप में तहकीर ना करना, फिर
Yeah.
रहा है जमाने में खुदा भेस बदल कर.
That's all very well said.
This is what
Yeah.
he says
Yeah,
here.
yeah. In fact, that's true. So
this book, ladies and gentlemen, let me show something to. This is a very state of the art book, because you see there here we have illustrations with every page as well. Uh, we have quatrains on one page, and one select quatrain is illustrated, and these illustrations are not AI generated. Please tell us about these illustrations. You
Yeah.
said that they are copyright images, and you
They're in fact properly. The copyrights were bought from two major museum and libraries of the West.
which
One is from
museums?
the Cleveland Museum of Art, which is based in the U.S., and the other is from the Dublin, which is the name of that. Uh, uh, Chester Beatty Library,
And see,
which is based
these are
in
from
Dublin.
two Western museums. These impressions, these paintings are the impressions, original impressions of two original works, two original museums,
Yeah.
archives, and Sami Rahman Sahab took special permission of for these museums and to include this in his book. This is a very wonderful book. I think people having interest in literature, poetics of Oriental poetry must read this book. This says so many of it. And the way you have translated the Rubai you just recited had all the rhymes,
Yeah,
grace and face and
The Mughal miniature, as you would know, that they're a typical Eastern
yes.
technique, a typical Eastern. In fact, it has its origin in the Persian.
In Turkey and Iran, we
Turkey,
see
Iran
miniatures
as
as
well.
a
But
tradition.
what the Mughals did, they just perfected the whole
And made
art
it indigenized.
exactly. It has some Indian influence as well. Uh, but unfortunately, many of those collections or the jewels of that are now lying in the West. So what
So
you will do
Tariq,
is to pay to them if you are to properly, if you are to reproduce them. So
Iqbal says, "Gawadi tumne jo aslaf se miras pai."
yeah,
We have lost the tradition of our
yes.
elders.
That's true. Okay, one more quatrain by Khush'hal. He was all praised for King Shah Jahan. In fact, that era of our history, it was the epitome of Mughal civilization in
Doubtlessly.
every sense, financial wise, civilization wise, architectural, in art, in everything.
In music, in poetry, in
Even
paintings.
in fact, historians like William Dalrymple, in fact, he would say that it was the richest empire of the
Empire,
world
yes.
in those days.
Producing 26% of total GDP of the world.
Exactly.
That was
Yeah.
India.
So Khush'hal, in fact, says he also served during that era, and he was in fact in close terms with King Shah Jahan. So what he's saying, you are such a just king, O Shah Jahan. You were so wise and full of admiration. It was not your son who imprisoned you. It was rather a devil in the human form. In fact,
And you were talking about his friendship with Shah Jahan, and I was thinking about his further rivalry with the Mughals after Shah Jahan was imprisoned.
yeah.
He became at
That's
arms with the Mughals.
Yeah, in fact, it was the governor of King Aurangzeb of Kabul at that time, Said Mir, who imprisoned Khush'hal for no reason. And it was after that, in fact, that when he was imprisoned for almost 4.5 years, and when he was released in the end, so it somehow changed his mindset toward the Mughal Empire.
And his loyalties as well.
Yeah, he would remain, even after his release, he tried his best to be in good terms with the Mughals. But in 1674, when there was this great war between the Pashtuns and the Mughals in the Khyber Pass, after that, he turned into a a rebel, and he would ally with two other tribal leaders of that era, Emil Khan and Darya Khan. And the three, they would start kind of a resistance movement in that at that time.
In
And after that,
at that time, even there was a
yeah.
bifurcation in Khattaks as well. There was a group of Khattaks that was against Khush'hal Khan.
Yeah, even his sons. I mean, what the Mughals did, they made inroads in his family by bribing his sons and giving royal posts to other to his uncles, and so that they rise against Khush'hal and to weaken his
And I
own.
remember one very telling comment of Khush'hal Khan about his brethren.
Yeah.
About he said that you might leave a snake and kill a kinsman if he goes against you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's this. If you about this very aspect of his children
Please.
turning against him. There's no honor, shame, and dignity. There's no love, warmth, and integrity. Kids grow up and desire their dad's demise. Today, in this age, you will find this melody.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow, wonderful.
that's where he's
There was
lamenting.
There was
the-
another rubai where, or some piece of poem where he said, "I have 30 sons and 30 have died."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
Now,
It's-
when I look at the living ones, I think the dead ones are better.
Yeah,
What was that?
It's something like I got 60 sons to date. Half of them are living, half are dead.
Oh, wow.
When I see the dreadful work of the living, I find the dead far preferable
Yeah,
instead.
see, look at the wit. Look at the wit. Wow, wonderful.
Yes. Okay.
You talked about his falconing and art of falcons. Iqbal was inspired by his concept of Shaheen.
Yeah, yeah,
And
he does.
Shaheen holds a very great place in Khush'hal Baba's poetry.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Bazname.
Iqbal mentions falcons or hawks in his poetry in quite general terms.
Palatna, jhapatna, jhapatkar palatna.
Exactly, and it's usually for the high traits of the falcons or hawks. It flies quite fast. It has a quite sharp vision. It doesn't make its nest on the lower lanes. So Iqbal discusses, or he evokes this notion of hawks and falcons in quite in general terms. Khush'hal Khan Khattak, he was in fact a professional falconer. There's one book which I have translated in 2014, just a year before this Rubaiyat book. But the Baznama of Khush'hal is quite a technical, a professional, and it discusses the whole gamut of the art of falconry, which is quite a specialized area. In fact, he mentions almost a dozen types, species of birds of
Wow.
prey, some of which are like goshawk, sparrowhawk, shikra,
Okay.
jay falcon, the charg, which is called the saker, and which the Arabs usually they hunt with this particular desert species saker. The jay falcon is basically is an Icelandic bird and the largest one as far as hawks are, falcons are concerned, the long-winged. Then there are In fact, the book Baznama is divided into two sections. The first one is about the manning, the training,
Okay.
how you capture a hawk, how you tame it, how you fly it, what kind of quarry of birds you have to fly each species of bird, and there are some quite specialized falconry terminology. That even is used in the English language, like the term hoodwink. It comes from the falconry art. Yeah, or there have been quite a lot of expressions. So the book is divided into two sections. The first section deals with the manning, training, capturing, and how you fly at different, in which season you fly those birds. And the other section, it mainly pertains to the treatment, the diseases of those hawks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Khush'hal was a professional falconer.
Okay.
Yeah, and his contribution. In fact, it's the second book that he has written in Pashto. The first one was written in Persian, but that's in fact extant. It's no more to be found. It's been lost to the ravages of time. But this
And
other book.
is it in print, the translation you have made?
Yeah. It was published back in 2014. It was on the occasion of the third International Falconry Festival in Abu Dhabi. In fact,
That's a great work.
and let me tell you that I took some 500 copies to that festival, and it sold like
Hotcakes.
hot cakes in 3 days. I
Oh,
mean, I
wonderful,
wasn't
wonderful.
left with a single
Wonderful,
copy.
Samir
So
Rahman
that's,
Sahab.
yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to a show, talking about Khush'hal Baba's quatrains,
Thank
his
you very much.
life, his poetry, his basname. Pashto poetry, dear audience and viewers, has a great tradition, very rich tradition. We see from Khush'hal Khan Khattak to Ghani Khan, it holds a great spectrum of poets, and we should read our poetry, we should promote our languages. Thanks once again, Samir Rahman Sahab, for doing this
It's
great
been a
uphill
great
task,
pleasure.
translating an ignored work and producing it for people. I am your host, Munir Fayyaz from Planet FM 87.6, program LitArt, Radio Pakistan, Islamabad. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much.